What up, my reefing peeps? This is Saltwater, and behold, this is my saltwater aquarium. Take it all in. Look at its glory. Bask in its glow. It didn't always look like this. In fact, a few months ago, it was nothing. It was just an idea. So why don't you do this? Why don't I take you back? I'll show you where I got started and show you how I got to where I am now. So this is it. This is the humble beginnings of that tank that you just saw. A few months ago, I found a post on Facebook about someone selling a 55-gallon drilled aquarium, and I'd been looking for a drilled tank for a while, and had a corner overflow. It came with a stand, a canopy, the tank itself, lights, 2 circulation pumps, a return pump, a heater, like 40 pounds of rock, a sump, all this stuff. I thought it was a really good deal. It was ended up only costing me $300 for everything. So I went and picked it up, and immediately, as soon as I saw it, I knew that the stand was not going to work for me. It was like made out of particle board, and it had some water damage to it, and the plywood that it had started to separate, and yeah, I knew right away that it wasn't going to fit with what I had going on in my house. So literally on a scratch piece of paper, I drew up a plan, a real rough plan, for what I wanted to do for the stand itself and the canopy. That was like my first step in all of this. So I ran out to the home improvement store and bought a bunch of lumber. In fact, it was so much that it wouldn't even fit in my Jeep. I started out by screwing and gluing some 1x6s together. I got that Kreg pocket jig, and I used that on this. It helps a ton because it hides the screw holes. Once I got the 2 frames built, I sandwiched them together with 2 1x12 pieces that I had made. I didn't really want to have to bend over to look into the tank, so I made the stand a little bit taller than it was normally. I was a little worried about it tipping because it's a really narrow tank and a really narrow stand, but in the end, the weight was enough to kind of keep it situated on the ground, but it was still definitely a concern. The sump is actually the same width, if not even a little bit wider than the tank itself. The tank's only like 12 inches wide, and the sump's only like 12 inches wide. In fact, the sump was so wide that it was sticking out of the stand that I made. What I ended up doing was making a bump out on the back side of the stand. I just used 1x2s to give me a little bit more room inside the cabinet. So once I got it framed out, I cladded it in beadboard. You can see I also did some braces across the top. So I knew there was going to be a lot of water and humidity inside the cabinet, so I actually caulked all the corners and all the crevices within the cabinet. So this is just a back view. I didn't finish the back because I knew it was going to be against the wall, so I really didn't care. I just used a piece of plywood to cover up the bump out. So here I started painting it this kind of nice greenish turquoisey color. I have kind of a beachy theme going in my house, and I wanted to kind of have this cabinetry stick with that theme. Also, I bought some styrofoam and glued that to the top of the frame there. I figured it would help it level out the tank if there were any imperfections in the wood. Here I'm just kind of dry fitting the tank, making sure that everything lines up right and it looks good. Here I started doing the framing around the bottom of the tank. Again, I painted everything in kind of beachy, like off-white color. In this picture, you can see the doors are actually finished as well. Here's me dry fitting my sump. The skimmer that I ended up buying, I found on Facebook also, another reef forum. It's a Euro reef skimmer. I don't remember the exact model, but it was more than big enough for the tank. So I ended up using 8-inch smoked plexiglass to do the baffles on the sump. I custom did everything. I did some research on the skimmer. It's a Euro reef skimmer, and from what I could find, it said that ideally it was anywhere between 7 and like 10 inches deep it should sit. So I went with, I think it was like 8 or something. And then if you look on the top there, the filter sock holder that I ended up making is made out of the 1/8-inch smoked plexi as well. The filter sock has like this plastic rim around it, and the plastic rim has a little lip, and it sits real nice in that square that I cut out there. So I wanted to paint the inside of the cabinet black to try and absorb some of the light from the refugium light. Here's where it gets kind of fun for me. Like I said, I have a lot of other furniture that I built in my house, and it all has this sort of distressed, aged look to it. So I went ahead and did that on this cabinet as well. Basically, I just used sandpaper to knock down the paint once I've painted it. You know, it's got that real nice, pristine kind of turquoise and off-white color. And then I just go through and hit it in certain areas with sandpaper and just go through the paint and expose the wood in some places. Once I do that, I run over the entire paint job with stain and then wipe it off real quick. And what happens is the stain then falls into the cracks and crevices and makes it look like dirt and just helps to add to the age. So here on the door, you can really see the stain falls into the beadboard and into the cracks and crevices and anywhere else that I sanded down. Here I am dry fitting all the plumbing and getting ready to glue it all together. Looks like a plumber supply shop exploded in my living room. Once I had it all plumbed and had the sump ready to go, I filled it up with sand and started putting some water in it. I ended up only having one teeny tiny little leak in the plumbing, and I was really happy with that. Once I started filling it up, I realized I didn't have enough water, and it was too late. The LFS had already closed, and I had to end up stuffing a tank full of dry rock just to take up water volume. So I found these knobs at one of the big box hardware stores. I thought they were pretty cool, and I thought they fit a reef tank pretty well with the whole bubble glass thing. So this is my final plumbing job here. You can see there's the sump, the refugium skimmers go in, and you can see all my reactors also. In a later video, I'll go into all my hardware and go into my plumbing in a little bit more detail. This is my final aquascape. I wanted to have some verticality, and I also wanted to have a lot of open area for the fish to swim. I'm not a real big fan of rock work that looks like you just stacked a bunch of rocks in there, or like you threw a bunch of rocks on top of each other. So I think once the algae and the coralline algae start to fill in on this, it's really going to make it look nice. I like how it's asymmetrical also. So at this point, I hadn't even started the canopy yet. I wanted to get water in the tank and start the cycle going. I knew that I could leave the lights off for the first part of the cycle, and I was hoping that by the time a month rolled around and I was into my cycle, I'd had the canopy done and the lights on and get it ready to go. So I started working on the canopy, and I just built it out of plywood. I made it so it fit in a lip around the rim of the tank. I cut 2 holes out of the top for the lights, and I put a little lip there so that the 2 lights could rest on the top of the canopy. The lights are about 8 to 9 inches or so off the surface of the water. These are the frames for the panels that I put on the canopy. I built these the exact same way that I built the doors. This is the front panel here. It's about 48 inches long. So I finished the canopy in the exact same way that I finished the cabinet. I painted it first, then knocked it down with sandpaper, and then went over it with a stain and wiped it off real quick. For the front door, I have a piano hinge that's about 48 inches long, and it runs the entire length of that door. So that's it. That's how I got to where I am right now. I learned a whole heck of a lot while doing this. This is my first tank with a sump and having to run plumbing and stuff all myself, and my first tank with these reactors and a big skimmer and stuff, so it's definitely been a learning experience. Already there's some things that I can see that I'm going to need to work on, but as it sits right now, things are looking pretty good. So one thing I want to do with this series is each video I'm going to do a little thing that I'm going to call the good, the bad, and the ugly of reefing. So basically I'm going to go over something I think was good, something I think was bad, and something I think is ugly. So for the good, I'm going to go with the overall experience. It was a great experience building this tank myself. I really had a good time building the cabinetry for it and doing the plumbing. I'm the kind of guy who's like a fixer. I always got to be fixing something or doing something or something creative. As far as the bad goes, I would say it's the length of time it took me to get to this point. It's been probably 2 months already before I even put water in it. Just building the stand took a long time, and it was an involved process, and it was a little bit more expensive than I wanted to go. I thought I was going to be saving some money buying something used, but I didn't really save as much as I wanted to. So I would definitely say that's the bad. As far as the ugly goes, I would say it's probably the scratches in the glass. Like I said, I bought this tank used, and the guy reassured me that when the tank's filled, you can't see the scratches. Well, I'm calling bull crap on that because I can see them clear as day. Well, that about does it. I want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm going to have a whole heck of a lot more videos coming out, and I got a whole nother series actually already planned for my old 29 BioCube that I upgraded from. I think that one's going to be really cool. I think you guys are going to like it, so stay tuned for that.